Hello everyone, and welcome back to this video series. We are talking about trusting God in times of financial uncertainty. If you caught the first episode, we talked about where our provision comes from, why we need to know that, why it's important to know where our provision comes from, and then why we should look to God for our provision and believe that He will provide it. And then in today's video, we're going to talk about why sometimes we don't get the answer we're looking for. Why sometimes it seems as though God is not going to provide that financial blessing in what we think is enough time. So let's talk about the reasons why maybe the financial breakthrough is not coming exactly when we need it. If you are one of those people that has been waiting for a financial breakthrough, you've been trusting God, you've already been doing those things, you've already been praying and believing that God is going to intervene in your financial situation, and yet it hasn't happened yet, I want to encourage you to hold on. I want to encourage you to keep the faith and know that there is a reason for this waiting period. There's a work that God is doing. He's not just silent. He does see you, and He knows what you need, and He's going to answer when it is the right time. As a single mom, for many, many decades, I struggled with the waiting period. I was so sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck, and I would be so frustrated, and I would say, God, what is going on? I'm trying to live a godly life. I'm trying to raise my kids as a godly example. I'm working as hard as I can. But you just aren't making things move as fast as I need them to move. Don't you know the electric bill is due tomorrow? Don't you know I still have food to put on the table? And yes, I know God knows all those things, but in those times where you are just tired, you're just tired of the grind of it being so close every month or every week, or some months and weeks you absolutely just fall behind, and you're just tired of dealing with it, especially if you're a single mom and you're dealing with it on your own and there's nobody to lean on to give you any help. You get tired and you start to question God. Well, I just want you to know that God does not mind that. He does not get upset with you. He understands. And yet there's still reasons why He's having you to wait for that breakthrough. And so in my life, I have found there are a couple of things that God was doing in that waiting period. One of the first things that I learned in my waiting time was that God's timing is perfect. His ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And even though I knew that I had a particular deadline coming up, or that I, thought that I needed something in a particular time frame, I had to make up my mind that I was going to trust that God's ways are better than mine. His thoughts are higher than mine, and there was a reason for the wait. And the reason I bring this point up, because to some people that might seem obvious. If you are a person who reads the Bible, then you may say, well, yeah, of course, God knows more than we know. But the reason I bring it up is because there's one thing to know that, and there's another thing to actually believe it and apply it. And I always say to myself, I can't pick and choose the scriptures that I'm going to actually, stand on. This is one of those that doesn't always feel good, but I have to stand on it. If I say that I believe the Bible, then I believe the whole Bible, and I just can't pick and choose the scriptures. So I have to trust that if things are not working according to the way I think they should work, there is a reason. And so making the decision and the choice to trust and believe in that is number one. When things were not happening in the timing that I thought they needed to happen, then I always had to question myself, okay, am I falling back into that old pattern of believing that I know best? I know when I need things. I know when things are due. I know the order that things need to happen. God, you just You just don't understand that it needs to happen now, or it needs to happen this day because of X, Y, and Z. So I would be falling back into that pattern of thinking, I know best. I know the intricate details. I know the timing. And I wasn't really standing and applying this scripture, even though I knew it. So that's one of the first things that I know God does in this waiting time. He makes sure that I'm applying and believing and truly standing on the fact that He knows best and His timing is perfect. The next thing that I learned in the waiting period, while I'm waiting for finances to work themselves out, I'm waiting for God to move in that time, is that God knows the future. So I can tell you there's one story. I was in a corporate setting, working in a corporate setting as a programmer, and a position, actually 3 positions came available to move into management. And there was one particular position that I really wanted, and then there was a second position that I wasn't as crazy about, but I figured, it would be okay. So I would just throw my hat in for both of those positions, the one that I really wanted and the one that it was just like, I could live with it. And I remember just getting a feeling that I wasn't going to get the position that I really wanted. I remember thinking, I have a feeling I'm not going to get that. But I made up my mind then. I said, God, okay, whatever happens, whatever you allow to happen, whichever job you allow me to get, I'm going to be happy with it, and I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And lo and behold, I did not get the one that I wanted. And I was kind of bummed about it. And I was like, but I told God that I was going to be grateful and be happy for the position I did get, and I was going to do the best job that I could. So I did that. And I guess it was about 3 or 4 months down the road, that position that I really wanted, it actually ended up getting cut. Like they took the whole position out. It wasn't that they replaced it or put a new person. They completely got rid of the whole position. And if I had been in that position, then I would have been without a salary, like totally without any income, with, a 2 weeks notice type of thing. And I said, wow, God, I thank you that you knew the future. You knew that position was going to get cut. And so you did not allow me to get it. So I never forgot that. And when things are not playing out the way that I need them to, and finances are working out the way that I think I need them to, I always remember that God knows the future. Now, the next lesson that I've learned in my waiting period is that God could actually be testing me. I have to admit that I was not always the best steward, the best manager of the smaller amounts of money that He would allow me to earn or to get. And not that I was reckless or careless or just totally blew it, but I wasn't as good of a steward of even a smaller amount. I did not have a good saving strategy. I did not tithe regularly, give to the Lord's work regularly. I, perhaps spent too much on, fast food or whatever, and just really had to be honest with myself that I wasn't necessarily the best manager of the smaller amounts. So God would not give me a larger amount to manage when I hadn't proved that I could manage the smaller amount. In essence, that is an act of love, because if He had given me the larger amount and I really did not have the discipline and the training to manage even smaller amounts, then it would be almost like I'm just being set up for failure, and I would mismanage the larger amount. So, there is a scripture that says, to whom much is given, much more is required. And so God knew that I wasn't where I needed to be in terms of my saving strategy and my management strategy, budgeting and so forth of the smaller amount. So I needed to wait before I got blessed with a larger amount. And by those 3 lessons, I know that my biggest takeaway is that God is perfecting us in that waiting period. If we need to be better managers and better stewards, He's working on that with us. If we need to be ready Because sometimes you get a big influx of money and your mindset is not right. You're not ready to handle that. We hear about people who, maybe they hit the lottery or something and they become very rich overnight. And then a year later you hear that they're broke. They are not ready. They don't know how to handle it. So those are all ways that God could be perfecting us. I know another way for me is my mindset. I had a poverty mindset. I would not give because I was always holding on. I was always, so afraid to let go because I didn't know when any more money was coming, that I would give, but I would give like not till it hurt, just, barely give. But that is a mindset that is not of God. God is a God of abundance, and He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. He's going to see that I have what I need. So if there is a church that I want to give to, or if there's a person in need, I should be able to give to them and not worry how my needs are going to be met, but trust God that He's got it all and He'll see and bless me for giving. So that's sort of a, scarcity, poverty mindset. I had to get rid of that. And He was perfecting all of those things in that waiting period. Here is what I would say. If your financial blessings have not come yet, it's not about the finances. It is all about the relationship. Your relationship with God, your relationship with others, your relationship with money. Do you trust God? Do you truly believe that He will provide for you? Are you willing to wait and allow Him to do it in His timing and in His way? When it comes to your relationship with other people, are you looking to them to take care of your finances? Are you leaning on a spouse? Are you leaning on a best friend? Or are you leaning on your parents and putting your faith and your trust in them to come to your aid? What is your relationship with them? Do you have a very transactional relationship with a person where, I do this for you, so if I need money, you give it to me? Though that kind of thinking is very, very unhealthy. Even your relationship with money. If God knows that if He gives you too much money, you'll worship money. If He gives you too much money, then you won't come to Him, you won't talk to Him, you won't rely on Him, you won't spend time with Him because, hey, you don't need Him right now. You've got what you need, your needs are met. If He knows those things are deep within us, then He is going to have us go through a waiting period while He's working those things out, while He's perfecting those things. So just remember, it's not about the finances. God's got it. He just knows that it's not yet time for Him to give it to us. And there's some things relationally, be that spiritually or physically with other people or physically with money itself, our mindset around money itself. He knows that now is not the right time. So I hope that some of these things have given you some food for thought and given you some peace that right now, if you're in a waiting period, or as I like to say, you're in between blessings, these are some things that you can think about to give you some encouragement that God is not silent and He's not just doing nothing, and it's not that He doesn't see you, but there are things happening behind the scenes. He's working on you, He's perfecting you, and that the waiting period is really a classroom. It's really a time of learning and training so that you will be ready for your next financial blessing. Hey, if this video blessed you, please share it with somebody that you know could use this message, somebody that just needs a little reminder, that needs a little pick-me-up, that needs a little hope. And if you would please go ahead and hit the like button and the subscribe button, I truly would appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another video in this series. Until then, choose life, choose joy, choose you. Bye for now.